I feel like me just even making and uploading this video is fundamentally cursing Blue Box as a manga series, because every time I decide to sit down and talk about a new Weekly Shonen Jump manga in the magazine, typically the series ends up just getting axed. Just Shonen Jump rips it from my hands and they just chop it up. And I worry that this might happen, and it's one of the reasons why I never go out of my way to start new manga. I wait until they fully establish themselves until I, sit down and read it for myself. It's kind of why it took me so long to sit down and read, like, Chainsaw Man, or Jujutsu Kaisen, or Mashley recently. I'm worried, because the recent stuff I've talked about on the channel, like Time Paradox Ghostwriter to Phantom Seer and countless other series over the years, just get straight up axed when I talk about. So it always worries me. And so I hope that this video is not a curse to Blue Box as a manga series. I hope it sticks around. I hope it doesn't get canceled, because there is some potential here where it can really develop into a beautiful story for, Weekly Shonen Jump's magazine. So anyways, to begin, currently Blue Box is at 8 chapters right now, so it's very early on in its life cycle. For instance, I don't even think it has enough chapters to actually have a volume release at this point, because I think you need 10 chapters to have an official volume release for a manga. So because of that, it doesn't even have a volume release, so we don't even know how the sales are currently, so it's a very young series. But at the same time, when I look at the way these chapters are structured, it just speaks to me that it's going to be a good series, as long as the Shonen Jump doesn't, chop. But, okay, so what is it about? What is Blue Box about, and is it anything that some of you that are currently watching this video would be interested in? So, if you love sports or romance, one or the other, if you like one of those two genres, then you might like Blue Box. Now, if you don't like these two genres, don't just click off the video. It might be something here that you might enjoy, and let me kind of explain. So basically, what makes Blue Box so fascinating for me is that it mixes the typical rival with romance. Like, okay, so you know how usually in any type of manga, mainly shonen, you'll have it to where a main character has a rival that they're always competing with to make themselves better, to strive to be a better person for their end-game goal at the end of the series. That is something that is fundamental in these type of stories. It's something that happened, let's say, in Naruto, with, Naruto and Sasuke, and how they were always rivals. It's something like that, or Bakugo and Izuku in My Hero Academia. So rivals are incredibly important for series. It allows people to really grow, to constantly press themselves to continue pushing forward. And so you have it to where our rival to our main male character is actually the main female character, and she is someone that is actually not doing the exact same thing as our main character. And this is where the series gets very interesting, why I say it has so much potential. Typically, when it comes to, let's say, a sports, manga, anime, it's where, let's say, a character goes into, a new year of school, first year in high school, whatever, and they actually, they join the club. They join, let's say, the basketball team or the volleyball team, whatever. They join a certain team. And basically, when they join this team, then they meet, let's say, the main female character, other main male characters, a part of the series within that team, and then the series progresses from that point. For instance, they want to go to the nationals, the inter-high, etc. This is always the fundamental goal of, let's say, a sports series. And sports series, since it is a slice-of-life sports series, the series are mainly focused on, let's say, character development. That's what the main point of this type of manga is. It's mainly just about the characters. It's not about action-packed, and yes, there could be action in sports. Don't get me wrong, Haikyuu has a lot of good examples of this, but what I'm trying to say though is when it fundamentally comes down to it, sports manga and anime is about the characters. So there is a lot of time for the characters to really grow and you to get attached to them. And when you look at the way the series presents, the structure of the sports, that's going to be the main, I guess, where the main manga is going to be taking place in, our characters are not in the same sport. You have our main male character, he's doing badminton, and our main female character, she's doing female basketball. So automatically, this is a very big difference between the normal style of sports, because once again, they're usually just doing one sports focus throughout the story. But no, we have two. And then on top of that as well, these two are constantly trying to basically amp each other up to want to go to the nationals. Even though they're not in the same sport, they're constantly cheering each other on, kind of like rivals trying to improve themselves. And romance is being used alongside of this with the rivalry. And I really appreciate the structure of the manga. It's very cute, very beautiful, and it's something that I really think has so much potential, like I said, because the series is supposed to focus on character development. Now, there is a few things that do need to be clarified about the series. Number one, there is no fan service from what I can see so far, which you can say that's a good or a bad thing depending on what type of person you are when it comes to what you're looking for in a series, but there is no fan service currently within this manga. It's actually just straight up wholesome, slice of life with sports thrown in. So if you're expecting fan service ecchi stuff, I haven't gotten it so far, and we're already, 8 chapters deep. Usually a manga will start to show its colors around that time in terms of fan service, but it hasn't. In fact, I feel like this series is getting a lot of support by Weekly Shonen Jump, which is why I even wanted to do this video in the first place, because when you look at the recent chapters, there's quite a few color pages. There's already 3 different color pages that have been presented for Blue Box so far, and if I know anything about when it comes to manga that releases in the magazine, if they get a lot of color pages, it usually means that they're getting a lot of attention, a lot of popularity. And so if that is indeed the case, and my info is not wrong, it's nice to see that around chapter 7 it got another color page. It means it is getting attention. People are looking at this series and wanting to give it a shot, which is another thing to really mention. The reason why I also think this series could potentially last and not get axed is because it is amongst other series that are like, just mainly action or supernatural. Now, there is some knockoffs here with some slice of life, romance type vibes and stuff throughout the magazine, A Weekly Shonen Jump. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Blue Box is the only one, but typically, when it comes to the magazine right now, there's a lot. It's oversaturated with supernatural action series. And so, when you look at Blue Box, it's a nice breath of fresh air in the magazine. It's not trying to compete with as many series as, let's say, something like Jujutsu Kaisen or something like Mashli, stuff like that. It's, trying to be its own thing. So that is a win right there. And also, another reason why I'm interested in reading is because it's a romance. And, I like romance. I really love myself some good romance. And if it's done right, obviously, I'm not the biggest fan of the normal cliche of romance. It just gets very dull and boring to me. But if it's done right, it can be really good. And so far, there's so much good. Like, there's one thing that stood out to me. When I was reading the first chapter, there was a inspiring manga panel. I'll show it here on screen. There's a lot of inspiring manga panels, honestly, but this one in particular stood out to me, and it shows basically the main male character saying, if you never try to go for the shot, then you'll miss 100% of the shot. And I know I probably misquoted that in some way, but basically, if you don't try to do something, then you're never going to know if you're going to be able to do it. And apparently this is a quote that's been established throughout for a very long time. It's something from either Michael Jordan, Kobe, someone I really don't know the origin story to, but I just know that it's a very famous quote in sports, so it's definitely clear to me that it's a very inspiring quote, regardless if it's a reused quote, and it hit me. It fundamentally hit me when I was reading. I was like, that's so true. How can you know if you never give a shot, like something a shot and try to strive for it? You'll never know if it's possible for you. So just Blue Box has a lot going for it. It's a very inspiring story. It has good romance so far from it building up, very cute and wholesome with some sports elements thrown alongside of it, and it doesn't really just seem to have any love triangles really forming at the moment, so we don't really seem to have to worry about that so far. I could be wrong, it could change in the future, but right now it seems like the series is really standing on its own 2 feet and creating something rather unique. But I just wanted to talk about Blue Box, something I caught up with. I might make weekly chapter reviews on this, kind of like how I've added, Jujutsu Kaisen, and, I'm doing My Hero Academia, and I want to add in Mashli and Dr. Stone soon as well, maybe even Black Clover, but, basically, I'm thinking of adding in Blue Box to my weekly chapter reviews. Don't know, I just, once again, hope that this video does not curse Blue Box to the inevitable axe. I hope it survives. We'll see. But anyways, guys, you have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you got this video, please leave a like. And with that, Chibi out.